you can share similarities in cultures. So the youth, being teenagers in Namibia, have the same desires as teenagers here, and dreams. You know, they want to be stars, they want to be recognized, they want to be valued in societies. So through education and through cultural experiences and exchange, you can still share those stories. That's the power of storytelling.
This is where it all begins, so say goodbye to all your fears, all your doubts. This is where they die. This is where we come to win, we come to fly. This is where we make our dreams come to life. Welcome to Innovation City.
Welcome to Innovation City, a podcast featuring the innovators, creators, and disruptors who are breaking through the status quo of business as usual. My name's Tyler, joined by my co-host Leanne Buchanan.
Hey everybody.
And today's a pretty special day because we are joined by Michelle McLean.
Hi, great to
Nice
be
to
here.
meet you.
Thanks, great to see you.
Well, Michelle, as Tyler said, we're super excited to have you here. And, you know, we're going to talk a little bit more about what you do later on. But first, we want to get to know who you are. I know you pretty well. But for those that don't know, Michelle is, I would say, the ultimate Renaissance woman. She is the former Miss Universe of 1992. And she's also a philanthropist, an ambassador for culture for Namibia, and most importantly, she's an entrepreneur that is always looking at how she can create impact through really unique business partnerships. Am I correct?
Well, thank you. Well, I've had a very unique life and unique platforms, so it's been great, been fun.
So why don't you start off by telling us, you know, you've got an accent, but where are you from and what do you love about your home country?
So I'm from Namibia in Africa, and many people would be surprised to hear that because I look very European. Grew up there my whole life. It's mostly an English and German background from previous colonial days. So my mom's German, my dad's Scottish. So that's really where the accent comes from. I lived most of my life in South Africa, doing television for 25 years, and now living in the States for the last 6 years.
And so you've had such a varied career in the fact that you've been able to travel and you've been to so many countries around the world. But what is one thing that you wish people knew about the African continent? And talk to us a little bit about what you're doing in your business to change that.
So my recent business, I started a safari company, Africa's Finest Safaris, and so we are tourism marketing specialists. We're trying to get Americans excited about going on safari to Africa. Well, obviously now with COVID-19, it's going to be a little bit tricky over the next few months to get travelers to be, you know, a little bit more comfortable with traveling. The one thing I would have to say about Namibia, so California fits into Namibia twice, right? Almost 3 times. We only have 2.2 million people, so it's one of the most sparsely populated countries in Africa because it's 2/3 desert, so it's uninhabitable. But one thing I would say about Namibia is that although it was a protectorate, it was not independent until 1991. It is a country that is varied in many respects. So it's got one of the oldest cultures, the Bushman culture, but then it also has this cosmopolitan feel to it, a European sort of colonial feel to it. But the people have wonderfully over the years been able to utilize all the different cultures to promote Namibia in the best way possible. So the old traditional African cultures as well as, you know, the more modern cultures. So being a tourist in Namibia, it's wonderful because it's very peaceful. It's one of the most peaceful countries in the whole of Africa. And it's the whole concept of Africa being a place where starving children are and it's just about famine and war and poverty. That's not true. There's so many beautiful, diverse, I mean, you've traveled with me, yes, Leanne. So there's so many diverse things to experience in Africa, and safari is one of them. And the protection of the animals. Namibia is one of the only countries in the world that has conservation in its constitution. And we're very proud of that. So if you don't look after the animals in the country, then the communities cannot survive. And of course, the tourists can't come and spend money in the country. And so, you know, our GDP goes down. So it really is, it's a whole ecosystem, the whole tourism industry.
One of the things that you said that really stands out to me, and I think those of us in the innovation and entrepreneurship space can really appreciate this is the idea of narratives, right? There's a narrative and perhaps stigmatization around the African continent, based on a lot of what we see in the media, a lot of what we are fed by news stories. And so I want to understand a little bit from your perspective, what are some of the most effective ways to shift narratives, to change perspectives, to change kind of cultures? Because that's ultimately what your company is trying to do. So what have you learned about that process?
Well, I think besides the fact where you physically get people to visit your country and experience it, social media and now the platform of media is so vitally important to share those stories. And it's also, I think, incredible, like when you came to visit Namibia and you bring inner city children from Miami to a place where African children in the bush have not experienced Americans, and any idea of an American is always like a movie star or somebody who's going to bring wealth to the country. So there's different narratives from different sides, but it's wonderful to see how you can combine them now with media being, so widely available that you can share similarities in cultures. So the youth, being teenagers in Namibia, have the same desires as teenagers here, and dreams. They want to be stars. They want to be recognized. They want to be valued in society. So bringing those stories together, I mean, that's been my passion. I've got a foundation that's been running for 28 years, the Michelle McLean Children Trust. So through education and through cultural experiences and exchange, like I said, you don't have to physically be there to do it, because now, obviously, with COVID-19, we've got a little bit of an issue traveling around the world, but you can still share those stories, and that's the power of storytelling.
Yeah,
that's one of the things that I'm always fascinated by is how cultures that are so different are actually really the same. You've traveled across the world, lived in Africa. Now you've lived here for 6 years. What are some of the similarities that you see among cultures?
So, as I was saying, especially focused on the youth, which is something, I've been able to do, I'm very blessed to do over many, many years, is see how young children interact. So we were talking about dreams and aspirations, the fact that they all want a future. Maybe in today's world, children sometimes, and that's where this rate of anxiety maybe comes from, is they feel hopeless sometimes. Like, what is my future going to hold? The world is starting to fall apart. This is the message sometimes that we're giving our children. And I'm really hoping that more people can tell positive stories to our youth, to say, you actually have to create the future for us. It's in your hands now. And then share that story around the world, because all children, they have the energy and they have the desire to make it work. It's lovely because children are idealistic, and we can bank on that they're going to do something positive if we give them the chance to do that, or just to be able to do something positive. We know they'll take the reins and they'll be able to do it. So you were asking about the difference. So between when I saw the children from Miami interact with the children in Namibia, I would have to say it was really that. It was like they looked at each other and oh, you also wear T-shirts. Oh, okay, but maybe yours is, got different sort of styles and patterns on it. It says Miami. I want your T-shirt that says Miami. And then, the child from Miami says, oh, well, it shows a sand dune on your T-shirt, So it's maybe that desire to dream big. And that's really, I think, what I've experienced. I can't really speak for anyone else, but I see the dream in children, the desire to have that dream.
One of the things that entrepreneurs and innovators deal with is like pressure. There's pressure to build, pressure to scale their organizations, pressure to come up with a product that people actually like, and then the internal pressure that they place upon themselves. And you've had the privilege of, you're a former model, but you've also been Miss Universe. And that road, and probably standing on that stage, and also working with other folks that are put in those places, has got to be a large amount of pressure. I know that, millions and millions of people watch these amazing beauty pageants. And so what advice do you have for entrepreneurs and innovators that are managing and navigating very stressful, high pressure environments? Because I know you know a little bit about that.
Well, I think learning from a young age to deal with the modeling industry. I was modeling at 14 in Europe, then winning Miss Universe at 19 and representing my country, and then realizing, wow, I've got this huge responsibility. My country was newly independent. People didn't even know where Namibia was. So there was pressure in that respect, but there was also pressure on me because I was a beauty queen. So I was pigeonholed into being someone who maybe is like a little bit more sort of, airheaded, and so I did a lot of work over the years to prove myself constantly that I was an intelligent woman that could utilize the opportunities that I was given in the correct way. And I think that's what it's really all about. I think for innovators, entrepreneurs, is utilize the opportunities that you're given. Don't sit there and complain about, oh, I didn't get this enough, or I didn't, I could have complained all the time that, oh, people just see me as a beauty queen and they don't give me opportunities and chances. Well, I took the opportunity by networking through the channels that I had. I traveled to 36 countries in my year as Miss Universe, so not only meeting heads of state, I worked with the Nelson Mandela Foundation, Archbishop Tutu in South Africa with the Truth and Reconciliation Committee. I founded my own foundation in Namibia. So I utilized my visibility to the end that I could actually do something positive for the communities. Not because I'm a saint or an angel, because I found that there was an opportunity there to do something. And then in the same way, I was able to create different businesses around that visibility. So I was in television for 25 years, but then I also branched out into ownership of property companies and jewelry companies and solar energy consulting. And so I was able to be very diverse because of the people that I met. So talking to any young entrepreneurs or anybody, if you get the opportunity to get some sort of visibility, to have a platform, that is what you can utilize. But you've also got to have a perspective of where are you going with that platform and these opportunities. And I've heard you speak to the youth as well, as a mentor, as a lecturer, and myself, is that have a defined idea of what you want to use your opportunities for, and that defining those, I think, opportunities is what being a good entrepreneur is all about. Because if you work in the corporate world, you're kind of following orders, and you're kind of following, someone's already set the trend, and you have to, I'm maybe speaking out of turn, but I've never been in the corporate world really. But I think as an entrepreneur, it does make it more difficult, but it does also have a wonderful benefit to it.
Yeah.
The importance of being clear on what you want. We were talking off camera about goals and being specific. Tell me about how you've applied, being specific in what you want.
Right, so going back to also what Leanne said earlier about the stress and the pressure of, I think this world is very pressurized and stressful because of the pace that we're going at, and because I feel myself sometimes very overwhelmed by everything that's out there, that's available out there. And that also makes it difficult to set goals, because I think comparison is probably one of the biggest failures that people can utilize in their life, is to constantly compare themselves to other people. And that's what social media sometimes really crushes people's dreams, especially entrepreneurs, because you feel like you're never ever going to be as successful as somebody else, or I didn't have those opportunities, so I can't create that kind of business. So comparisons, what I like to do in my lectures to deal with stress and pressure, is sometimes one of the biggest reasons why people feel pressurized and stressed and can't get out and see opportunities. You can utilize my 5 principles, which is gratitude and reframing situations, and always being healthy, because healthy mind is, healthy body, healthy mind. The words that you use, the power of the words that you use, because they can create your reality now and in the future. And of course, being aware that teamwork is so important. We've seen now with what we're going through in the time of Corona, is that, we've really got to club together and stand together, whether it's being a team as a family or being a team at work, to get the best results. We can't just be isolated, be an island. So in I think setting your goals, that's really important. Stress, to reduce the stress in your life and the comparisons of everything around you, and to focus on what you want. Stay in your lane. It's not your business what anybody else is doing. And I say that to the youth a lot, going back to them feeling maybe overwhelmed, like I can't achieve that because everything's already been done. I hear that a lot. But everything's already been done. Everything's already been invented. Where do they get this idea from? We've got to change, I think, that narrative. Is that no, you can see it differently. You can reframe it and, come at it from a different perspective. Maybe that's what COVID's done for us, is allowed us to just sit back and kind of think about it, reflect, and kind of go, hey, we can do things differently.
One of the things that you just kind of mentioned on the fly, but I want to go back to, I don't know if you caught this, Tyler, was, you went to 36 countries when you were Miss Universe, but you also, I think more importantly, you talked about being able to serve with Nelson Mandela and Archbishop Tutu. Talk to us about kind of those seminal moments and what those experiences were like, getting a chance to have an audience with some of the most well-known leaders, not just because of visibility, but, I think some of my favorite quotes are things that Nelson Mandela has said and written. And so just talk to us about what it's like to be in spaces with some of the most recognized leaders and what you learned from that.
Well, meeting Nelson Mandela was the most profound moment of my life, besides the birth of my child. Being in his presence, you just feel like I was speechless, because he's got this most beautiful serenity about him, and authenticity, like real. When he says something, it's real. The only thing that I can say about meeting him at the time of my life was I was very young. I was 19 years old. And often I look back on my life and my year as Miss Universe, being 19 and traveling the world and having those experiences. I sometimes wish I was a little bit older, a little bit wiser, because I might have missed a lot of moments and opportunities along the way. But now that I reflect on, I was doing the best that I could at the time. But Nelson Mandela at the time inspired me to set up my children trust, the Michelle McLean Children Trust. He at the same time was setting up the Nelson Mandela Foundation. So we did events together and we raised funds together for different projects. And I would have to say, being in South Africa at the time when the Truth and Reconciliation Committee was dealing with all the horrendous past, history of Southern Africa, it was, I get goosebumps right now. I can't believe I lived in those times, because I saw the shift happen from darkness moving into light, and it was very much because of Nelson Mandela. Can't say that for many of the leaders now in Southern Africa, because it was his vision and his truth and everything about him. And I think that made a profound, it had a profound effect on my life as somebody who came out of a Southern African environment, especially as a white woman, because a lot of the white people in Southern Africa do have a sense of guilt. And even though I was a child, I grew up with the apartheid being around me, it wasn't my choice. And now that I could give back through my foundation to the people of my country and really educate the children who deserve it, everyone deserves the education and freedom, that to me was huge relief, because you grow up with this guilt constantly. And in being an entrepreneur now, I think, looking at those opportunities available and to heal those wounds has been a big part of my life. And to have seen the serenity of someone like Nelson Mandela coming out of prison without any anger and hatred, true, absolutely true. It wasn't just words. Being in his physical presence, you could sense it, you could feel it. So, I just get very emotional actually, because, So what a gift in my life. Yes, I met many celebrities and I've worked with Hollywood stars, but nobody comes close to that kind of experience.
And just a quick follow-up, because I'm a big student of leadership. It is the thing that I'm always studying and always kind of curious about. What would you describe are the top 3 most important characteristics that a leader should have?
I've got a whole list of them. But if I had to think about, especially from my perspective today, I think I would have had a very different perspective when I was younger. I would have said, oh, it's just determination and, just getting up in the morning and doing what you say you're going to do. Now I would have to say it's being able to listen to somebody else and hear their perspective, to not have a preconceived idea of a situation. I think that really makes for great leaders, because things can shift from 1 minute to the next. So having that, so 1, 2, 3, I think the patience. The patience to be able to let things unfold, not to try and push people or direct things. And those are qualities that I'd love to have, but I'm still working on.
On that note, it's time for the lightning round.
Ooh, that sounds exciting.
It is exciting.
Do I have to get my cape for this one?
Quick fire questions and answers.
Okay.
All right.
You ready?
Shall I start?
Go for it.
Okay. Ooh. What makes you feel loved?
My family. Or does it have to be an abstract thing?
No, it could be that.
My family.
Perfect. What can you do that you could not do a year ago?
Meditate.
Oh, that's a good one. Tell us about your meditation practice.
Doing it every day consistently has really helped me. Yeah. So I started off with 5 minutes, all over the place. Wanted to get up, wanted to get a cup of coffee. Now I can at least do 20 minutes.
Wow.
And it really is effective. It really does calm me down for the day.
It's amazing. So what is one of the kindest things someone has ever done for you?
I would have to say, give me their seat on a plane to be able to get home to my baby. I was just hoping the plane wasn't going to go down that day. I was like, I wonder why they gave me their seat. I love it.
What would you do if you were not afraid?
Sing.
You ready?
Okay. Can I sing Baba Black Sheep?
Okay, I think last one. What challenge do you want to overcome?
Procrastination. It's one of my big bugbears. Something that seems surmountable, but I just don't tackle things quickly enough.
I'm the same way. So
I don't believe it for 1 second.
Well, this has been a great talk. Michelle, how can people get in touch with you and with your company, website, social media, all the good stuff?
Okay, well, great. Please come on safari with us. Leanne's going to definitely join me next time.
Yes.
So it's africasfinestsafaris.com. You can look at my website, michellemclean.com. michellemclean.io. And my Instagram is Michelle McLean Official, or Africa's Finest Safaris #1. Facebook, Michelle McLean Bailey. And then we got LinkedIn, which is Michelle McLean Bailey.
excellent. Well, Michelle, this has been a pleasure. I feel like we're just having one of our regular conversations.
I know.
And I'm really excited that, we got a chance to introduce you to the world in a different way. And I think that you're so innovative in what you're doing to shift the narrative around the African continent, Namibia in particular. And I can't wait till we get to go back.
Me too. It's always going to be fun.
Yes,
Thank you. And thank you. Nice meeting you.
You as well. Thank you for listening to Innovation City. If you like this episode, you can find more episodes at innovationcity.co or anywhere where you watch or listen to podcasts. Please subscribe, rate, and review, and we'll see you next week.
This is where it all begins, so say goodbye to all your fears, all your doubts. This is where they die.